Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It's 4 a.m. bright and early here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, today I want to talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict growing into a whole full-scale war. All right, I have avoided talking about this because it is such a hot subject. No matter what I say, no matter what anybody says, there's always a lot of conflicting views and thoughts on everything. Let me just tell you the way I've seen it. As you guys know, I read all sorts of news articles every day to get stories to come on here on YouTube. And I remember when I first started reading about this story, I think a lot of people, if you don't pay very close attention to world events, and this is why I think it's important to do that, to pay very close attention to what goes on every day in the world around you. If you didn't pay very close attention, you probably got the idea that Palestinians more or less just started lobbing rockets into Israel. That's the way a lot of conservative, a lot of Republican politicians here in the United States are painting it. That's the way it sounds. Like the Palestinians just decided to start terrorizing Israel. It kind of sounds like that. Now, this is how I came across the story back on, I think it was, excuse me if I get this wrong, I think it was April 17th. Maybe April 13th. It was the first day of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan for Palestinians, for Islam. Okay. I remember first reading about this when it first started heating up. This was 27 days before the very first rockets were fired out of Gaza. 27 days. This is how it all started, in my opinion. And I know this is why I haven't talked about it, because there's always so many conflicting, no matter what I say, there's going to be angry people, there's going to be other, conflicting views, but I want to talk about this. All right, the way I understand it, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, it's probably I think it's the third most holiest site in Islam. All right, on the first day of Ramadan, the Palestinians were in the Al-Aqsa Mosque praying. The president of Israel was down at the Wailing Wall, giving a speech to memorialize all of the Israelis killed in battle. Okay, so we have on the first day of Ramadan, or the holiest months in Islam, Palestinians are in their mosque praying. The third most holiest site in this mosque. Now, Israeli soldiers reportedly brushed past the attendants, pushed their way into the mosque, and cut the loudspeakers to the prayers, disrupted the whole service. Obviously, the Palestinians, this was sacrilegious. It's an insult. I mean, I could, if I was I'm Roman Catholic. If somebody marched in and pushed the priest aside and everything, I'd be pretty upset too. Now, the president of Israel, or the security forces for Israel, thought that maybe these loudspeakers in the mosque might drown out or bother the speech that the Israeli president was giving. All right. So it was kind of disrespectful. It was very disrespectful to the Palestinians marching in this mosque. Okay, about a week later, during the month of Ramadan, young Palestinians gather at night in the gate of Damascus. It's a plaza. They socialize. I can understand this, like Easter celebrations in my religion and stuff. The Israeli police closed down these gatherings. These were peaceful gatherings. This was before the rockets and all that. This was a week after they cut the wires. They disrupted the service on the first day of Ramadan in the Al-Aqsa Mosque. A week later, they blocked off where all the usually young Palestinians would gather at the gate of Damascus at night to socialize during this holiday. They saw this as another slight. And this is how it snowballed. There were protests after these incidents where I think it was over 200 Palestinians were injured and this is where the friction started. You have to forgive me if I get this wrong. I'm doing the best I can. This is how the timeline, I saw this happening. I don't think there was really, the need. There was no. It was wrong to go into the Alaska Mosque and cut the services, just barge into a service and disrupt prayers on their holiest month, Ramadan. And then it just snowballed from there, preventing the Palestinians from gathering at night. Of course people are going to get upset. And I'm going to give you guys this point of view too, me being partially Native American. What happened here with Native Americans, to me, it looks very similar to what's happening in, the Palestinians being continually pushed out of Gaza for the settlers on the West Bank, continually pushing Palestinians, evicting them out of their homes where they've lived, and then just taking over the land and building their own homes. To me, it's awfully similar of what I understand happened to my relatives, my kin back in the 16, 17, 1800s. All right, so I hope I did it justice representing this. Like I said, on a lot of the media now, they talk about, a lot of conservatives, even President Biden talks about Israel defending itself. They have the right to defend themselves. And a lot of them seem to just pick it up where these rockets started firing into Israel. But you have to understand it was a couple pushes from Israel. Disrespect, really. Does that warrant lobbing missiles into Israel? I don't know. It depends if you're Palestinian or not. But I could relate to the Palestinians. All right. I hope I did this story justice. Let me know what you guys think. All right. I will be back later today with another video. I've got so much to talk about. President Biden released his tax returns. He only made a little over $600,000 last year. And there's a lot of other stories I want to talk about. All right, you guys have a great Tuesday. I'll be back shortly.